Hi, so this video is just going to be a summary of the derivatives of the inverse reciprocal trigonometric functions. So if we just put a title, derivatives of the inverse reciprocal trig functions. So yeah, this is ARCCOSEC, ARCSEC, and ARCCOT. So reciprocal trig functions. Like that. So yeah, so when we differentiated, we differentiated all of these functions in previous videos. So the first one we did was this derivative of ARCCOSEC, so ARCCOSEC, so the inverse cosec function. And when we differentiated this, we got -1 over the modulus of x multiplied by the square root of x squared subtract 1. And this was defined for all x values with a modulus of x greater than 1. So any x value with a size greater than 1, this result holds because this function has a domain of the modulus of x greater than 1. The second derivative we did was the derivative of the ARCSEC function. And when we differentiated that, it was just the positive version of this result from the ARCCOSEC function. The ARCSEC function has a derivative of 1 over the modulus of x multiplied by the square root of x squared minus 1, like so. And again, the same domain in which this is valid. And then the third derivative we did was this one, so the ARCCOT function. So this derivative we found was -1 over 1 plus x squared, and this is this derivative is valid for all x in the real numbers, because the ARCCOT function is valid for whatever x number in the real numbers that you put into that function. So it's valid for all x values in the real numbers. Also, just something to mention as well, something we also did in previous videos, was we said that the ARCCOS function was exactly the same as the ARCSIN function of 1 over x. So for all x values in their domain, so for all x values in the domain of ARCCOS, which we know is this, so for all x values such that the modulus of x is greater than 1. And so therefore they've got the same derivative. So that function there has the same derivative as that function there. We also did this in a previous video as well. So we showed that the ARCSEC function is exactly the same as the ARCCOS function of 1 over x. And again, this is valid again for all x values such that the modulus of x is greater than 1. And the last result that we did relating to these functions, so we found out that the ARCCOT function is actually not equal to the ARCtan function of 1 over x. So they're not the same function, but when we differentiate these two functions, we get the same derivative. So, but differentiating with respect to x, ARCCOT of x is the same as differentiating ARCtan of x. So we get ARCtan of 1 over x. So we get the same result, but this derivative is valid for all x in the real numbers. So for every real value of x, this will work. Whereas this derivative here is valid for all x numbers in the real numbers, apart from at x equals 0. So when x equals 0, we don't get a defined result there. However, for all other x values, the derivative of the ARCtan of 1 over x function is the same as the derivative of the ARCCOT function. So yeah, that's just a summary of the key results when we differentiate the inverse reciprocal trigonometric functions.